So I think they're great tools. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
I like to know what people have written on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they're powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just useful tools. I like the telephone too.
They're,
They don't build trust
yeah.
because they're fakeable.
Okay. How do we get around the sort of to a mutual self-interest that the small groups can explore and out of the silos that we all bring when we walk in the room?
Part of it is the invitation.
Okay.
So when I invite you, I say, please come to this conversation, knowing that it's highly interactive and you will be talking with other citizens, especially ones you don't normally have a chance to talk to. And what we'd like you to do is leave your interests at the door. We're not going to decide anything today. We're not going to negotiate anything today, which allows people to calm down and say what we're trying to do is understand the possibility of Clifton Heights, the possibility of a light rail system, the possibility of fewer jails or a different educational structure. So you almost have to contract with people in the invitation so they don't come expecting an answer. Now the people that want an answer, they won't show up. The extremists won't show up. Good. I don't want the whole community in the room. I want the middle in the room.
Mm-hmm.
The extremists are more interested in being right than they are in working something out.
You spend a good bit of the book talking about the importance of design, and we had a conversation last year with Daniel Pink who emphasized the importance of design, not just physical design, but all kinds of design on how we structure interaction. You're a big, strong believer.
I loved what he said about that. I thought that was fantastic, that design matters. Designing social space, designing a room, designing a building. I mean, most of our designs, both of how we gather and how we create space, is designed for control, efficiency. Patriarchal, you walk into most buildings and you wonder, am I welcome here or not? Mm-hmm. The only great designs for buildings are restaurants, bars, hotels. And so you think about the physical, but also how do we occupy this space? Mm-hmm. How do we, when we show up, do we show up as in a communal way? So let's design how we welcome people. Mm-hmm. So in Carlsbad, we held a community meeting. We said, let's put a red carpet from the street to the building. So as soon as they come by, they say, I'm welcome here. I belong. And when they come in, let's have them greeted at the door and have a little food and do all the things that cultures do that said you came to the right place. Mm-hmm. And then when we meet, we have people in circles. Why? Because we want them to know you came to talk to each other, not to talk to me, not to talk to the city manager. So these are the social structure. How you frame questions is a design question. Mm-hmm. Most of us spend most of the time figuring out what we want to say to people. So I rehearse for the meeting with PowerPoints. I vet it with other people as if my speaking creates the future. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm. I want to return to your point about citizenship.
Being a citizen doesn't mean you're a citizen of the United States, which is the typical way. But being a citizen is that you're capable of producing something, of diagnosing your own problems, of deciding what matters to you. This is citizenship. This is associational life. This is what Tocqueville talked about in the 1830s. The consumer part also is guaranteed dissatisfaction. Because what consumers do is they look to others to satisfy them on things they can't satisfy for themselves. And so I look to the police to make me safe. I look to the school to educate my child. I look to the doctor to keep me healthy. It isn't going to happen. The doctor can't keep me healthy. The better living through chemistry is guaranteed dissatisfaction. So it keeps me coming back for more. And my complaints about the school, it keeps me coming back. And so the consumer model is guaranteed, it's addictive. Mm-hmm. And this culture has become addicted to looking for more things outside the family and outside the neighborhood and outside our connectedness with each other.
But aren't we at some point, we are a consumer of services and goods, but I mean, I don't think your argument is we aren't. It's just that isn't the relationship.
That's the easy stuff.
Yeah, that's not the relationship you want to have.
I want the roads to work pretty well.
Right.
I want water to work, garbage picked up. But those are unrelated to the things that are wounding our neighborhoods, the pain, the suffering in our neighborhoods. And so those are minimum things, and so I am a customer to having the garbage picked up. I do need the police sometimes. I need the fire department, but it shouldn't be who I am.
Right.
Don't define me as a customer. Don't boast about how customer-oriented you are as a city manager team, because that just thrills me as a citizen. I say, oh, really? Then I got 10 more things I want.
I was struck by the description of having a conversation about the possibilities, not about the problems. So what about talking about the possibilities makes it a different conversation?
It's a tough one for people to accept because we so love problem solving. Possibility is a desired future that I'll never reach. And the idea is that when I declare a possibility, when we talk together about what we want to create together, what's the possibility for our neighborhood, that possibility works on us. And every time I come into a room, guess what comes with me? A possibility. So what do you want to show up with? A problem every time you show up, or a possibility?
Let's talk about the conversations now. You go through in the book
a bunch of them.
6 conversations.
Specifically, every conversation is activated by a question. And I've tried to define those questions that people don't know how to wiggle out of. So a great question is one, if you ask people and they answer it, they're guilty. This is good existential guilt. Guilt means I said no, I'm a producer in the world. So it's problem solving to possibility. What's the possibility? It's from blame to ownership. Why don't we act as if this place is mine to create? And even the things I complain about, maybe I helped to produce them. So there's a conversation of commitment rather than barter. We think we can negotiate. The economist has taken over our brain cells. There's a conversation of gifts instead of deficiencies, and a conversation of dissent instead of lip service. What kills democracy and kills commitment is lip service, not opposition. So you need some way for legitimate, center of the road, responsible citizens to say, that doesn't make sense to me, then let's talk about it. So dissent becomes the beginning of a commitment conversation. And then the last is invitation versus mandate. We've so followed the corporate model, which is basically patriarchal. I am the boss, now hear this is the captain speaking, that is all. That we think you have to mandate the future.
Remind us, the leader's responsibility is
to name the debate.
It's
not just convene. I don't have leader just as facilitator, but I have you, leader, city manager, public servant, knowing what we need to focus on and naming the questions. Because citizens left to their own devices are not going to take responsibility. They're going to keep thinking, what have you done for me lately? The answer is nothing. I'm not here to do for you. We're partners in this venture.
Are there some examples of communities that you could give us that have at least have tried this sort of conversations in there?
There are. Sarasota is a good example. Tim Dutton in Scope is kind of a community-created agency that's using conversational strategies in addition to research and stuff like that to cross boundaries, to cross class boundaries. I mean, every community, some part of it, now whole communities, it's hard to find whole communities that do anything.
Right.
But there are places all over the place where people have found a conversational strategy. If you look at any successful community development, they brought people together that weren't there before. You look at the Boston Miracle around young people. What happened there? Well, they didn't do anything complicated. They just got the federal, they got the police, they got community, they got victims and their mothers, they got police. They got them to say, we can do something together here.
Peter, one of the questions we always get is